Welcome to L-Rated, and today we're taking a bite out of Snow White, Disney's latest attempt to reimagine one of its most iconic classics. Starring Rachel Zegler as Snow White and Gal Gadot as the evil queen, this movie had a lot riding on it, especially with the controversy leading up to its release. Between comments made during press interviews and Disney's continued push for live-action remakes, Snow White became less about the movie itself and more about the drama surrounding it. But at the end of the day, does that even matter? Did Disney breathe new life into this fairy tale, or did it bite off more than it could chew? Let's talk about it. What's the story? Well, it kind of follows the 1937 animated classic, but with some big changes. Snow White is still born into royalty. Her father is the king, her mother is the queen, and everything starts off as a traditional fairy tale until tragedy strikes. The queen dies, and the king, in classic fairy tale fashion, remarries. But of course, he doesn't marry just anyone. He marries the evil queen, played by Gal Gadot. Soon after, the queen seizes power, kills the king, and takes over the kingdom. Snow White is stripped of her royal status, reduced to a servant in her own castle. This change makes the queen's control more personal, but it also adds a heavier, darker tone that makes the story feel less like a whimsical fairy tale and more like a political takeover. Now, the dwarfs are still here, but they play more of a background role. Instead, the real driving force behind the story is a group of bandits who turn out to be townsfolk from the kingdom, possibly former actors. They become key players in a rebellion against the queen. And because this is Disney, we get some new songs, some of which work, and some that feel like they should have been left on the cutting room floor. All right, let's start with what worked. First off, Rachel Zegler can sing. No matter what people have said about her leading up to this movie, there's no denying that she has an incredible voice. When she sings the classic Snow White songs, there's a moment, just a brief moment, where you can feel that nostalgic Disney magic. Gal Gadot as the evil queen, surprisingly solid. She plays up the queen's vanity and wickedness, and she even gets her own villain song, which has some be prepared energy from The Lion King. Whether or not we needed that song is another question, but I'll admit, she commits to the role. Now, let's talk about the dwarfs. Honestly, they kind of reminded me of the Garbage Pail Kids movie from the 80s. You know that weird, unsettling, live-action take on something that was originally animated? Yeah. It wasn't necessarily bad, but it was definitely weird. The bandits add an interesting layer to the story. Snow White joining the rebellion, fighting for her kingdom, and reclaiming her home sounds great on paper. But whether or not that idea fits in a Snow White story is another question. Now let's talk about what didn't work. First, the new songs. I get it. Disney wants to modernize these stories. But when you have a film as timeless as Snow White, adding new music just feels unnecessary. The classic songs still hold up, but the new ones, they don't have the same magic. Then, there's the visuals. The green screen work is rough. There are entire sequences where everything looks so artificial that it actually pulls you out of the story. When a live-action remake somehow looks more animated than the original cartoon, that's a problem. And now, the story. The movie tries to modernize Snow White, making her more independent, which could have worked, except she still gets saved. Not by Prince Charming, but by one of the bandits. So, all that talk about her not needing to be rescued?
She's not going to be safe with the prince.
Kind of falls apart when she still has someone helping her every step of the way. And finally, the queen's death. If you're going to change everything else, at least give us something dramatic. The 1937 version had her fall off a cliff. The Brothers Grimm version made her dance to death in red-hot iron shoes. But here, it happens so fast and so anticlimactically that it's barely worth mentioning. No tension, no weight, just done. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the controversy surrounding this movie. Now, let's be real. Rachel Zegler's comments did affect how people viewed this film before it even came out. Between criticizing the original movie and making statements that rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way, Snow White felt like it was in damage control mode from the very beginning. And here's the irony. The movie's entire moral is about being kind and fair to others. A great lesson, right? But maybe it's advice that should have been taken off screen as well. It's hard to sell a message of kindness when the lead actress spent so much time alienating the audience Disney was trying to reach. At the end of the day, I always try to separate a movie from the drama surrounding it. But when the drama overshadows the film itself, that's a problem. So is Snow White worth watching? Honestly, it depends. If you're looking for a remake that captures the magic of the original, this isn't it. The heart of the fairy tale gets buried under bigger, flashier, but ultimately hollow changes. Rachel Zegler sings beautifully, Gal Gadot delivers a solid performance, and there are moments of nostalgia. But at the end of the day, This feels like yet another Disney remake that exists just to exist, without truly understanding what made the original special. And the moral of this Snow White? Be kind, be fair, and apparently, remember people's names. But will I remember this movie? Probably not. That's it for today's review. What did you think? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a review. Until next time, stay fair, stay kind, and always stay rated.